My Blue Tongue Skink that I just got has mouth rot. And in all fairness, I knew she had mouth rot when I bought her, but I'm taking her to the vet to get that taken care of. So let's get started.
So come along with me, it's SuzyQue. Hey.
So I'm going to take her out of her bioactive enclosure and put her in a quarantine enclosure, or a medical enclosure, so I can really keep a good eye on her as we give her the medication and track her progress before we put her back into her regular bioactive enclosure. Ta-da! So I'm going to Mount Laurel, and this is the enclosure I'm going to put her in. Here we go. Bonjour. Here you go. Headed for the vet. So this animal hospital is in New Jersey, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And when we got there, we had to stay outside until it was our turn because of COVID. So I took Azura outside and sat on some benches, and we looked at all the animals that they had outside. I was very impressed. The free-range enclosures were humongous. They had all different animals. You could even get some pieces of food to feed them if you wanted, which is why they were like right at the fence asking. But I didn't mind waiting at the ER while all this was, all this was here to look at. And it was just absolutely gorgeous. Watching some of these animals play and beg. Yeah, the one part I found fascinating was this sign here and this tribute for all the beloved pets that didn't make it, that went on. There's all these tags lined up around this memorial on this gorgeous pond, and it was just for me, it was very moving. It was very touching. And the pond was gorgeous. It was like, wow. So we waited outside until it was our turn to go in, and then after they took Azura in the back, I wasn't allowed to go with them, which I was a little upset, but I kind of understood. They said it was very crowded back there. So I just looked around the waiting room a bit. They had this huge fish tank. I think it was like a 200-gallon, maybe 210. Had some coffee. Looked outside the windows at the beautiful scenery. But it did take quite a bit. So they sent me home with all three of these products. This is a Silvadine solution to put on her lips. This was the antibiotics that you keep frozen. I don't know how to say that. Ceftazidime. And this was pain medication. Pain medication was not for the shots. It was for what her mouth was feeling. So, and they also told me she was a little dehydrated, to give her baths a couple times a week, or a good soaking. I asked my daughter Katie to come over because she's a nurse and I needed help because all I had to go by was a video that they put out on their website. So this is Azure. Okay.
He's so beautiful. I never pet one of these guys.
Okay, so I'm gonna draw up 0.08 ml.
All right.
Oh, sure it is time for the shot.
Okay, we're making sure we get it in the muscle on the upper part of the arm, that the bevel side, the opening of the needle is facing up. Getting it in between two scales is important because it's too tough to go through the scales. And slowly inject it, and that's the part where she gets a little fidgety. And then put her thumb on it as it comes out and holds it for a while. Okay, so this is the tub that we soak in. We soak in for 15 minutes. Of course, the camera was off while we soaked. And now she's angry at me, but it is for her own good. Same thing happens when I have to give her shots. I'm actually starting to wonder if she will ever trust me again. But that's okay, because I got to do what I got to do, right? So even though I wasn't allowed to go in during the ER visit, during my follow-up medical visit, I was allowed to come in and talk with the doctors and ask them to give me a demo of her shots, just to make sure that we were doing it right. gained 15 grams. Very exciting. So as you can see, after several weeks of the medication, this side of her face is already almost totally cleared up. The other side is clearing up. So even though my daughter and I have been giving Azure her shots twice a week and putting her medication on every other day and soaks, I wanted to make sure we were doing it right. So I asked if I could videotape her doing it so we could just make sure that we were doing it right.
We demo this as well, so you get to see it twice, actually.
And that's the vitamin D?
This is vitamin A, D, and E. So this will help with the hypovitaminosis A, which is, you know, part of the reason why we're having these stomatitis issues. And then we also have the ceftazidime, which we can give an injection of today as well. Do you want me to demonstrate how to do both of them, or do you want to try to do one of them?
Okay, maybe.
It's up to you. Yeah, if you want. If you want. So I'll go on this leg since it's a little bit more visible. Okay. Whatever is easier for you for filming purposes. So the biggest things we're going to have Selena holding. I'm going to hold the bevel side up. So it's going to look like that little hole, that little sewing needle hole there. You want that to be facing upwards when you give the injection. I'm just going to hold our leg out. I'm so sorry, don't be mad. Okay. And I'm just kind of feeling for muscle. So this feels nice and fatty here, nice muscular. If you feel anything that's bony or hard, you want to avoid those spots. Now that I felt that this is the muscle, this is where I'm going to be going. I'm going to go in between the scales because I don't want to pick them up with my needle. As I go, oh, it's okay. I go in between. Ah, sorry, so rough, so rough. And then I draw back to make sure there's no blood. And then I'll inject. And I just do a nice little twist on the way out because it'll help create a little bit of a vacuum. Sometimes with reptile skin, it likes to kind of have the liquid come back out. So I always just try to put a little bit of pressure afterwards as well.
Look at that smile, so much better. I can't wait. I can't wait for him to move from his quarantine tank up to his bioactive enclosure.
Hey, everybody, it's SuzyQue. Hey, everybody, it's SuzyQue. Nah, hey, everybody, it's SuzyQue. So come along with me. Said I'm SuzyQue.